It was a Tuesday afternoon. My phone buzzed, and the caller ID showed an unknown number. I was at work, deep in a spreadsheet, when I answered, "Hello." The voice on the other end was frantic, hushed, and laced with a terror that sent a chill down my spine. "Is there someone else in your house?" she whispered, barely audible. My blood ran cold. I had just hired her, a cleaning lady named Maria, for the first time. She was supposed to be alone in my empty house. My heart pounded against my ribs. Was I wrong for thinking my home was safe, even when I wasn't there? Tell me, would you have reacted any differently if you were me? Let me take you back to how this nightmare began. My life before that Tuesday was, by all accounts, perfectly ordinary. I lived in a comfortable, albeit slightly dusty, suburban house. My job was demanding, and between long hours and a semblance of a social life, cleaning had become an Olympic sport I consistently lost. Dust bunnies had formed an empire under my couch, and my kitchen counters were a monument to dried coffee rings. My mother, bless her heart, had been gently nudging me for months to hire help. "It's not a sign of weakness, dear," she'd say. "It's a sign of a smart person who values their time." I finally caved, mostly because I was tired of apologizing for the state of my home every time a friend dropped by. I found Maria through a local Facebook group, glowing reviews, reasonable rates, and immediate availability. She seemed like a godsend. We arranged for her to come on a Tuesday. I specifically chose that day because both my partner, Alex, and I would be at work. No one else was supposed to be home. It was important to me that she had free rein to do her job without us being underfoot. And honestly, I felt a little awkward about someone cleaning my mess while I watched. We had a brief phone call a few days before, where I explained the layout of the house and gave her instructions on where to find the cleaning supplies. I even gave her the code to the smart lock on the front door, something I rarely did for anyone, but I trusted the reviews. She seemed professional, polite, and eager to get started. I remember feeling a wave of relief after that call, envisioning a sparkling home and a significant weight lifted from my shoulders. The Tuesday morning arrived, crisp and clear. I left for work a little earlier than usual, making sure everything was tidied up enough for Maria to navigate easily. I double-checked that all windows were locked and that nothing valuable was left lying out, not because I distrusted Maria, but simply as a habit. Alex had already left for his job, so the house was empty when I locked the door behind me. I sent Maria a quick text confirming the door code and wishing her a good day. She replied almost immediately with a cheerful thank you. "See you then." I spent the morning at work feeling unusually light, almost giddy with the anticipation of returning to a clean house. I even imagined treating myself to a fancy takeaway meal that evening, enjoying it in a spotless living room. Little did I know, my tranquil Tuesday was about to shatter into a million pieces. Around 1 p.m., the call came. Maria's terrified whisper cut through the mundane office chatter like a knife. "Is there someone else in your house?" My mind raced. Alex, no, he was at work. My mom, she always called before dropping by. A friend, unlikely. A burglar. The thought sent a jolt of pure adrenaline through me. "Maria, what are you talking about?" I asked, my voice betraying my growing panic. "What do you mean, someone else?" She stammered. I just finished the living room. I was going to the kitchen, and I heard something. A cough, from upstairs. I thought it was you, but you said you weren't home." My heart leaped into my throat. A cough, from upstairs. Every fiber of my being screamed that this was impossible. My house was empty. It had to be empty. "Maria, please, try to stay calm," I urged, though my own voice was shaking. Are you sure? Could it have been the house settling, or a neighbor? I was grasping at straws, trying to rationalize the irrational. No, she insisted, her voice firmer now, though still laced with fear. It was clear, and then I heard footsteps, light footsteps, like someone walking around upstairs. I froze. I'm hiding in the pantry right now. I called your number from the instructions you left. The pantry, my small, dark pantry, tucked away next to the kitchen. The image of her huddled in there, terrified, in my own home, filled me with a sickening dread. This wasn't a settling house. This wasn't a neighbor. There was someone in my house. My mind immediately went to the worst case scenario. A squatter, a burglar who had somehow bypassed the lock. But the code, no, she had the code. What if someone was asterisk already inside asterisk when she got there? What if they had been there all along, hidden, waiting? I told her not to move, not to make a sound. My fingers flew across my keyboard, typing a frantic message to Alex. Call me now, emergency, someone is in the house. Then I called the police. Explaining the situation to the dispatcher was surreal. My cleaning lady just called me from inside my house, saying there's someone else there. They asked if I had seen any signs of forced entry. I hadn't, I couldn't, I was at work. They said they would send a unit immediately. The minutes that followed were excruciating. I stayed on the phone with Maria, whispering, trying to reassure her, even as my own fear threatened to consume me. She described how she could hear faint sounds, muffled movements from upstairs. She was terrified, and I felt utterly helpless, miles away. Alex called me back, his voice thick with alarm. I quickly explained what was happening. He was already pulling out of his office parking lot, intending to rush home. No, don't go in. I pleaded. The police are on their way. Don't confront anyone. We agreed he would meet the police outside the house. My boss, seeing my obvious distress, urged me to go home. I practically ran out of the office, my mind a blur of terrifying possibilities. The drive felt endless. Every red light was an unbearable delay. My phone was glued to my ear, Maria still whispering on the other end, giving me updates, each one more horrifying than the last. I think they're in your bedroom now. I hear things moving. So that's the situation I was in, my heart hammering like a drum against my ribs, convinced there was an intruder in my home, my cleaning lady trapped and terrified, and my partner rushing into a potentially dangerous situation. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have rushed home? Would you have waited for the police? What would your first thought have been? When I finally arrived on my street, police cars were already there, lights flashing, a surreal beacon in the quiet afternoon. Alex was talking to an officer, his face pale and etched with worry. I pulled up and practically leaped out of my car, rushing towards them. Maria, is she okay? I gasped. The officers, 2 of them, explained that they had secured the perimeter. They had tried to make contact, but there was no response. My house looked perfectly normal from the outside, an unsettling contrast to the chaos unfolding within. They explained their plan. They would enter through the front door, moving slowly, checking each room. They advised us to stay outside, behind their vehicles, for our safety. My stomach was in knots as I watched them approach my front door. One officer held his hand up, signaling to his partner. Then he slowly, cautiously, entered the house. The other followed, weapon drawn. The silence that followed was deafening, punctuated only by the distant hum of traffic and the pounding of my own heart. Minutes stretched into an eternity. Alex put an arm around me, but neither of us spoke. We just stared at the open door, waiting, dreading what they might find. Suddenly, A voice boomed from inside, "Police, show yourself." Then more silence, and then footsteps, heavy and deliberate, on the stairs. My breath hitched. They were coming down. My gaze was fixed on the doorway, my body tensed, bracing for what? I didn't know. A struggle, an arrest. Then the first officer emerged, followed by the second, and between them, looking utterly bewildered, was Maria. She looked shaken, but otherwise unharmed. She practically stumbled out, her eyes wide with relief as she saw us. "They're gone," she whispered, her voice still trembling. "The police, they checked everything. No one. I repeated, utterly confused. "But you heard footsteps, a cough. You were in the pantry," the officers explained. They had done a thorough sweep of the house, every room, every closet, even the attic access. Nothing, no signs of forced entry, no disturbed items, no evidence whatsoever that anyone else had been in the house. My relief was quickly replaced by a new wave of confusion and, frankly, a knot of embarrassment. Had Maria imagined it? Was she playing some kind of elaborate prank? But her fear had been so genuine. Maria, still looking pale, tried to explain again. "I swear, I heard it. The cough, the footsteps, I was so sure." She looked truly distressed, clearly not faking it. The officers, though polite, had a subtle skepticism in their eyes. They suggested it might have been an echo, or a neighbor's sound carrying, or perhaps even a natural creak of an old house. They took our statements, confirmed Maria was safe, and then left, wishing us a good day. Alex and I stood there in front of our house, the flashing lights now gone, the silence returning, but this time it felt heavy, laden with unanswered questions. "Maria," I said gently, "are you absolutely certain?" She nodded vehemently. "I wouldn't have called you otherwise. I was so scared." Her sincerity was unwavering. I couldn't shake the feeling that she wasn't making it up. But if not, then what? We went inside. The house was spotless, a testament to Maria's excellent work despite her terrifying ordeal. She insisted on finishing up, despite my protests, wanting to prove she wasn't a fraud. As she cleaned, Alex and I started our own investigation. We walked through every room, tried to recreate scenarios. I coughed upstairs. Alex listened downstairs. We stomped, we tiptoed, nothing. No echoes that sounded like a distinct cough, no creaks that mimicked footsteps. It was baffling. Later that evening, after Maria had left, still looking a bit shaken but satisfied with her work, Alex and I were sitting in the living room, trying to make sense of it all. "It's just so weird," I said, running a hand through my hair. Her fear was so real. Alex nodded, deep in thought. "I agree. She wasn't faking. But what could it have been?" He got up and started wandering around the living room, then moved towards the staircase. He stopped at the bottom, looking up. "Wait a minute," he said, a strange look on his face. "When did you get that?" He pointed to a small, almost imperceptible smudge on the pristine white wall, right next to the handrail on the first landing. It was a light, dusty handprint, just barely visible, but unmistakably there. My heart jumped. Maria had cleaned that wall. She was meticulous, and I knew for a fact it hadn't been there that morning. Alex reached up, his fingers just brushing the print. "It's fresh," he murmured, "dusty, but not old." We exchanged a look. This wasn't an echo. This wasn't a creak. This was physical evidence. Someone had been there. But who, and how, and why hadn't the police found them? The house was still locked from the inside when Maria was there. We had given her the code. Could it have been someone she knew, someone she let in? But that didn't make sense with her terror. Then, Alex remembered something. "You know, when I came home yesterday, I noticed the back gate was ajar. I thought I just hadn't closed it properly when I took the trash out. Our backyard was fenced, and the back gate led to an alleyway that wasn't frequently used. It was a small detail, easily dismissed at the time. A new theory began to form, chillingly plausible. What if someone had been camping out in our backyard, perhaps overnight, without our knowledge? What if they had discovered an unlocked window at the back of the house? A window that Maria wouldn't have checked until she was cleaning the bedrooms upstairs. What if they had heard Maria arrive, and instead of leaving, they had hidden, perhaps in the attic or a large closet, waiting for an opportunity to leave unnoticed? The more we thought about it, the more it made sense. They would have known Maria was there, cleaning room by room. They would have heard her move downstairs. And when she was busy in the living room, focused on her task, they might have made a move, perhaps trying to sneak out or retrieve something they had left behind. The cough could have been an accidental slip, the footsteps a hurried retreat, the handprint on the wall, a slip on the stairs as they made their way down. And then, when Maria called me, when the police were on their way, they would have realized their time was up. They could have slipped out a back window, or even through the front door during the brief interval between Maria's frantic call and the police arrival, if Maria was too scared and hidden to notice. It was a terrifying thought. Someone had been living, or at least hiding, in my house, entirely undetected. We checked all the windows again, particularly those on the ground floor and second story, which were accessible from the back. We found a small scratch on the frame of the guest bedroom window, near the latch, almost invisible unless you were looking for it. It seemed minor, but combined with the handprint and Maria's testimony, it became a crucial piece of the puzzle. It wasn't forced entry, not in the traditional sense. It was quiet, clandestine access. The experience left me with a profound sense of unease. My home, once my sanctuary, now felt violated. We ended up installing a comprehensive security system, complete with motion sensors and cameras, not just inside, but around the perimeter of the house. We also made sure to always lock the back gate, and I became obsessive about checking all windows before leaving. Maria, despite the harrowing experience, was incredibly professional and continued to clean for us. She even shared her own theories, convinced it was a ghost for a while, which gave us a much-needed laugh after the initial fear. But the handprint on the wall and the scratch on the window confirmed that it was very much a flesh and blood intruder. The police couldn't do much more without further evidence, but they did log the incident, and they advised us on better home security. The person was never caught, and we never had another incident. But the memory of Maria's terrified whisper, "Is there someone else in your house?" and the unsettling discovery of that handprint still sends shivers down my spine. It taught me a harsh lesson about complacency and the hidden dangers that can lurk even in the most familiar spaces. So, that's my story. It still makes me wonder what exactly happened that day, and who was in my house. Like this video if you were on my side and believed Maria's story. Subscribe for more stories like this, and please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. What do you think happened, and how would you have reacted? I'll see you all in the next story.